So every day I wake up and I'm always like, how the heck did we get on this timeline? Today it feels like we're stuck between a combination of South Park meets Star Trek. And let me show you guys what I'm talking about. This is the Guardian today. They got this big, bright, red banner. And the first thing I thought is like, this is like red alert, on Star Trek. Red alert, red alert, red alert, red alert, right? And what's the red alert? Trump's freaking out and he's threatening you with tariffs over Greenland. That's what it is. And then the EU's like, okay, how do we respond? And it's like tools at the disposal. Do we use the bazooka? Should we just fire the photon torpedoes? And then Trump is like, basically, yo, if I can't have what I want, no one can. I'm going to self-destruct the starship. He's like, computer, Star Trek self-destruct, code, I am weird orange guy. And that's where we're at. This is like the craziest crap. So let me show you guys what else. Now that we're stuck on this timeline, Trump is all about writing letters. And so basically, it's the kind of letter you write when you break up with your girlfriend. It's like, or she breaks up with you, and then you write the letter pretending that you broke up with her. That's probably more Trumpy. Headline: Donald Trump links threats to seize Greenland to Nobel Prize snub in letter? What? So now we're writing letters to countries about why we really need Greenland and why we're breaking up. This is what it says. This is as actual letter reported by PBS. It was confirmed the letter exists by the Norwegian newspaper and confirmed by Store. Let's read Trump's letter. It says, Dear Ambassador, okay. President Trump has asked that the following message shared with the Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Store be forwarded to your named head of government / state. Okay. So I think they sent this to multiple people is why they had it that way. And it says, Dear Jonas. It's kind of like a Dear John letter. It really is. You can't make this stuff up. And if you don't know Dear John letter, it's like when you break up with someone, right? For real. Considering your country has decided not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize for having stopped 8 wars plus, I no longer feel an obligation to think purely of peace, although it will always be predominant. So he's really, really mad. He didn't get the Nobel Peace Prize, and now he doesn't feel like he has to think about peace anymore. I didn't want peace anyway. What? But can now think about what is good and proper for the United States of America. It really is a breakup letter. Denmark cannot protect that land from Russia or China. And why do they have a, quote, right of ownership anyway? There are no written documents. It's only that a boat landed there hundreds of years ago. Okay. But we had boats landing there also. My boat was there first. No, my boat was there first. This is Donald Trump logic. I have done more for NATO than any other person since its founding. That's according to Trump. And now NATO should do something for the United States. The world is not secure unless we complete and total control of Greenland. Thank you, President DJT. It's an actual letter. And it's like, I mean, it's a Dear John type of letter. And when you use the word complete, it's like, I don't know, without Greenland, I won't feel complete. Is that what we're trying to do here? I don't know. So after this like crazy crap, then Europe's trying to figure out, okay, how do we respond to said Dear John letter? My point of view is, guys, just break up with the USA right now. You don't need to be having Trump in your life. He's a bad, you don't need that guy. So stocks are going down. I guess everyone's buying gold. We're all retreating. And then it turns out Trump's like, okay, fine. I guess if Norway's not my friend anymore, and then Norway had their state really clearly that it's not the government that decides it. Who gets your prize? The whole thing's stupid. Then it says, like, literally, this is the headlines. More countries confirm invites to Trump's Board of Peace for rebuilding Gaza. So basically, again, Trump's trying to build an alternate to the UN and theoretically an alternate to NATO. As this was also in the Guardian today, like, it was like every 10 minutes they have like this new like headline. So basically every time Trump tweets something, it's like it like makes some kind of news and it's like all whacked out. So they're just like, you know what, we're just gonna leave the red banner, red alert up. But the latest one is, I guess Putin's invited this thing. It says Trump has invited Russia's Putin to join the Board of Peace for Gaza. Of course he did. And then the other countries are like, okay, we're getting invited too. Now theoretically, it says Hungary and Vietnam had accepted. I'll just say this: who knows? who knows at this point? Who knows that any of this stuff is real? Because one of the things I think is going on as well is like Trump wants cash and he wants to control the money. I read that in Bloomberg. They reported that. And as whack out as it sounds, like you just get kind of used to, okay, I'm not surprised he wants to control the money. I'm not surprised, and actually a senator made the joke the other day that don't be surprised if Trump tries to name Greenland Trumpland. Like it sounds funny, but it's real. That's why it's so stupid. Like how are we on this timeline? Like we're writing Dear John letters to other countries and stuff. And so like as adults in the room, other countries got to figure out, okay, how do you respond to a petulant child who keeps threatening to self-destruct the Starship? That's basically what it is. All right, so this is the headline then. EU says current freeze on 93 billion retaliation measures against U.S. lapses on February 6th. Could see new U.S. tariffs kick the next day. So Europe, I guess you got three choices, at least according to the Wall Street Journal. So one would be holding off on cutting tariffs to zero, meaning basically keep your current tariffs in place, don't cut any tariffs, right? So just, do that. The other one would be have new tariffs and new regulations and new retaliations against the USA. You could totally do that. The big one would be hit American tech companies, any number of things that you could do. And then I guess this one's the most interesting one. It's the bazooka. And Macron was the one to say this one. I'll read through this one because this was kind of a funny one. Use the anti-coercion trade tool dubbed the bazooka. The EU's bazooka trade tool, in principle, would give the trade bloc significant leeway to implement export controls, place tariffs on services, restrict intellectual property rights, and curb American companies' ability to bid on public contracts in Europe and other measures. Just blow it all up. How about that? And, here's the other thing. And you got to put all this stuff together. And I know you can get caught up in just like, okay, well, how do we decipher Trump's letters or whatever? It'll change tomorrow, so don't get too caught up on the letter. Just know that the guy is whacked out, and it's accelerating. Because the guy was whacked out his first time around, and he's always been kind of a weirdo. But this time, I mean, and we're watching it live. We're watching like this deterioration of making any sense live. It's so nuts. Okay, so what am I bringing up here? China. China reports robust economic growth thanks to resilient exports, right? And it's actually pretty similar in Korea as well. And other countries, they're just forming other trade partners. So in my humble opinion, and I've seen it all, guys, I think the growth at the moment in the world, I would look at India, I would look at Vietnam, I'd look at other countries in Asia, be it China, Korea, Japan, these kind of things. If you want to talk about Taiwan, is important as well. If you want to make trading partners in North America, go with Canada. And then you got, south of the USA, you could go with Mexico or any country to the south. I mean, it's like you don't have to trade with USA. I know, I get it. The Americans will say, well, we got, all these consumers. Don't you want to sell stuff to us? I say this, you're going to have a lot of other people to sell stuff to as well. You can certainly trade with the USA if you want, but don't put yourself in a position where you're pissing off everyone else in the world just to please Donald Trump. There are other countries out there. It's just not worth it. He'll change his mind tomorrow. And China's open for business. And it's not just China, it's everywhere else is open for business except the USA. I'll leave it at that. And it's actually quite interesting because you have to put this together. China's also in population decline, so they can't necessarily think domestic market only. They need to trade. That's why countries trade with each other. Sometimes a country's got something you want. Sometimes another country's got something you want, and you like kind of piecemeal stuff together. And at the end of the day, our lives get better if more countries are open for trade and open for business. The regular consumer is like, you know what? I got more choices. I got stuff that I can't get in my home country. Simple example. I always use the same one because I think it's the best one. Coffee. Coffee beans don't come from everywhere. They only come from like a few places in the world. And you want to be friends with those kind of countries because lots of people out there like coffee. That's a good example, right? And there's multiple ones. If you want to talk about beer, a lot of people like beer. Man, there's beer from all over the place, right? Some people like Mexican beer, some like German beer, some like Dutch beer. And I'm being truthful with you. Japanese beer is pretty good. Korean beer is pretty good. And don't sleep on Chinese beer. It's not bad. I like Qingdao for reals. Here in Korea, though, actually, the Koreans are really proud of their beer. And UK's got their beer, Scotland, etc. Like everyone's got beer out there. And it's fun to trade and have different types of beer. And if you want to like really get people talking, go to like a really cool beer place and there's like beers from all around the world and you compare beers and you have a different beer from every country and then you compare. That's like the funnest thing ever. And I like to live in that world. I like to trade. I like to make friends and these kind of things. But for Trumpers, He's like, if you don't give me my prize, I don't want to be your friend anymore. Computer, set self-destruct. That's what he's trying to do right now, and it's just ridiculous. Stand up to him, and already I think even Canada's talking about sending troops to Greenland, and everyone's going to go defend Greenland. And you should. You should. Greenland's your friend, okay? I'll be clear on that. And then when you look at the U.S. economy, this is the headlines also. I'm showing you the full story. Commercial builders are losing their appetite to build anything but data centers. Anything but data centers. So, okay, and you have to put this all together. If you're having population decline in China, and there's actually population concerns in multiple places, that means there's not necessarily going to be endless growth forever in some sectors. Because the idea, just for example, is let's say you're developing new industry, let's call it cars, okay? When cars first come out, no one really has a car, and you're like, oh my God, I gotta get a car. And so like there's massive growth in cars. Next one's like, okay, computers. Hey, I don't really have a computer. I need to get a computer. Everyone goes out and get computers. Then you got hand phones, whatever. And then everyone's kind of looking for that next best, greatest thing that everyone has to go buy, and you got massive growth in it. And theoretically, it's AI and stuff, but the problem is with this whole AI thing, right now those companies are unprofitable. And do I want to really subscribe to something that may or may not be a benefit for me, maybe a benefit for some people, but the idea of this whole data center AI stuff is actually ultimately to replace everyone. So like we're building up the market to obsolete ourselves. And you got all these tech companies essentially bribing the Trump people to destroy the White House to build this ballroom to create a bigger mechanism to destroy ourselves and then go back to that self-destruct sequence. Like, this is a massive bubble, and I think we need to have more real conversations about this. And what's even more crazy, I guess everyone's going to be meeting in Davos soon, talking about their economic plans, and Trump's going to just, unleash all whatever crazy nonsense that he's going to have. And I promise you, when you write these kind of Dear John letters, it just makes everyone feel uncomfortable around the table. And something I noticed when Trump was here in Busan, where I live, like when he was there, like everyone was just kind of tight, and it's just weird that Trump's there. He's like the dude that always ruins the party and says like weird stuff all the time. And then once he left, everyone's like, man, break out the champagne, where's party time? And it really was like that, for reals. It was like the most crazy thing to see. And this is where we're at. In my opinion, I think it's going to be, Trump is going to be a lame duck in just a few months' time from now, because this is completely unsustainable. It's completely unsustainable writing weird letters, Dear Johns, to everyone all the time and just pissing them off everyone. And, from Trump's point of view, I guess he thinks Putin's a really good bud. But, I mean, hanging out with Putin, anyone who knows anything about Putin, I'll just say this. A lot of his friends don't make it. I'll leave it at that. And I don't want to make light of, Putin, the stuff that he does. But, he's not the greatest person to be friends with. And if your other friend is like Netanyahu, again, not a great person to be friend with, or even Trump himself, not a great person to be friend with. There's no way any of this stuff is sustainable. These are greedy individuals, and they're only in it for themselves. And if you build a team of just those kind of people, it's a house of cards. So that's my thoughts on this stuff. Please be careful out there. And yes, today is Red Alert Day. And that's the timeline that we're on. I'll catch you all in the next video.